When night falls and the city lights are shown bright, with the country entirely asleep, then the work of the journalist begins. Our imagination goes wild, dreaming, thinking, and searching for that unique story idea. Visualizing and translating these ideas into action brings the story to life. And, like the fizz in our wine glasses, the story bubbles, finding space as headlines on front pages in the print, broadcast electronically, and posted on new media across the globe. And when it catches the attention of the powers that be, they act speedily. Join my able panelists and I as we speak to weightier issues from all quarters of the professional ladder, share our journalistic experiences, and offer insight beyond what is reported, all on one magazine platform, the Reporters Roundtable. Every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on GBC24. Watch a repeat on GBC24 on Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. and on Tuesdays on Ghana Television from 3 to 5 p.m. The Reporters Roundtable. All angles, all sides. Presenters Fabric for the Reporters Roundtable is sponsored by ATL. ATL, bringing fabrics to life. More information is online at www.akosombo-textiles.com. Glad to see you all again, and there is a groundswell of anger against Galamsey in the wake of a bleak projection by the Water Research Institute that Ghana could be importing water in the not too distant future. Already some river bodies that served as the source of water for treatment plants have either dried up or been badly polluted. The prospects of Ghana facing a water crisis and the wanton destruction of the country's vegetative cover by Ghanaians and their Chinese collaborators burrowing under the earth's surface in search of gold has jolted many Ghanaians into a frenzy. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable John Peter Amewu, issued a 3-week ultimatum to all those involved in the illicit trade to halt or face punitive actions, and this expires in the next 14 days. However, before the expiration of the minister's ultimatum, the media is also waging a war to redeem the nation from the scourge of the illegal activity, and this is championed by the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation GBC, Graphic Communications Group Limited, the New Times Corporation, the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, Private Newspapers Publishers Association of Ghana, PRINPAG, and the Community Radio Network. President Akufo-Addo himself has also indicated that the solution to dealing with the destructive activities posed by illegal miners has to be comprehensive. Hence, the piecemeal approach to dealing with the problem has not been effective. President Akufo-Addo hinted that his government is working on a document which will be outdoored in the coming days to give a legal backing to the fight against the menace. On the program today, we will draw your attention to the impact of Galamsey on education, public health, cultural and heritage, social acculturation, and the weakening effect on our tradition and family relations and the rights of children involved in the trade. We will then tackle the issue of mob action, because on several occasions there have been calls for such barbaric actions to stop, but all have fallen on deaf ears. The latest of the mob is what was visited on the district commander of police in Havasini in the Western region, who was attacked by residents for what they described as negligence on the part of police officers to grant a suspect bail. This suspect is reported to have died later in custody, which triggered the mob attack on the station and the district commander. Is mob action justified? We ask. These are the issues we will be dealing with on the Reporters Roundtable. My name is Rebecca Ewa, and the show is produced by Phyllis Kofi, Max Desu, and Celestine Avi. You can join in the conversation via text or on WhatsApp, or you can later call into the program when the phone lines are activated. In here with me in the studio is Adam Shrem. Adam is a freelance journalist, and he is noted for using drones to tell his stories. Also with me is Joyce Jichi. Joyce is an environmental reporter, and she is with Radio Ghana. And Richard Mensah is no new person on this set. He is the editor at City FM. Welcome. Let's dive straight into the issues. Let me start with you, Richard. What risk does this illicit trade pose on miners themselves?
Well, to the miners themselves, you qualified it rightly, and you said illicit trade. I think over the years, before even they started with this heavy duty equipment, there's been deaths recorded and some strange illnesses. I think we've been here. There was a time the media even launched a campaign to have this thing stopped, almost because of the deaths that were being recorded, because people enter into some hole and then the next moment it just crashes on them and they are all dead. And it was very, very disheartening witnessing that, because sometimes you have a whole group of people. I remember one time ago somewhere in the Western region where about 12 bodies were buried just in a pit, and so the threats are there for everyone to see. So that is on their side, aside the fact that their lives are threatened by the kind of activities they involve themselves in. They are near or little knowledge of the chemicals they use is also a threat to their lives and to others who are around them. So the mercury, the cyanide, and the things they use. And if you've seen them before, I've ever lived in a community where they have been involved in Galamsey before, and the way they treat the chemicals, look, they treat it as normal as any other thing. And so to go and read, and sometimes it was astonishing for me to see them use it. You know, when they've gathered the sand and everything, they use the mercury to now coagulate it and then all that. And the way they handle it, it doesn't look like they know that it is a dangerous and harmful chemical. People finish with that, and like we do always, you know, we like eating with our hands. And even if it's with spoon or something, it's within the same environment, it's not cleaned well. So yes, their health is being affected. Ultimately, this strays down or strains our national health budget, because these are the same people who visit the hospitals with diseases that could have been prevented by their actions, however, without their knowledge, and also in search of just money, which ultimately will be of no use, because without your health, it's really of no use. And that is why sometimes I really don't get, I'm not for the idea that let's look at alternatives, those kind of big words, holistic and all those things. I'm really not for that thing, because, you know, come to think of it, we are talking of even the effects on them. See, within the last few minutes that I started talking, just see the effects that I've enumerated for you, their own lives, which means that it will have effects on their families and even their dependents, if they have people depending on them, their health, which will ultimately strain the national budget on health. And all these things will ultimately degrade their own human security as well as the human security of the nation. So if we want to talk about effects, the effects are documented, they are known, and it's not something that we must dilly-dally with.
Right. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, just to add what my colleague just said. The effect on them directly is a different thing. Another issue is the effect on others, because this thing is going to seep into the water bodies and it's destroying aquatic life and other things. For instance, if it seeps into and we eat the fish that comes out of them and all that, can you imagine what the implications are going to be? So just like he rightly said, the effect on our national budget in terms of health, and also if you are not healthy, you really wouldn't work. And that also affects productivity in a way, those downstream, if probably they are not really into it. So it really has, apart from their individual effects on them, the repercussions are just enormous.
Adam.
Okay, thank you. I think they've said a lot, and but the other aspect that people are not actually aware of in terms of the dangers that it poses to them is that there's this doctor in University of Mines, Takwa, is called Dr. Mante. He has conducted a research on how illegal mining activities contribute to the spread of biliary ulcer. And that is a dangerous, disease that the country is battling with to make sure that it's eradicated completely. But this illegal mining poses threat to those guys on the pits, and even people that are not even directly involved. And as my colleague from CTFM is saying, it is something that has to do not even with only the miners, but all of us, because the fishes in the rivers have been contaminated with chemicals. And doctors say that when you eat fishes contaminated with mercury, you end up becoming weak, and in the end you die. And it can even cause miscarriages in pregnant women. So it means that the fishes that are even killed now, most of them, because almost all the rivers that have been polluted, is only mudfish that survives in them. So it means that people who like the mudfish, popularly known as adjuni or something, yeah, if you are not careful, it means you'll be eating something that has been contaminated. So it goes beyond even they themselves handling the mercury. Yeah, so maybe as you can see on the screen, that's mercury that the guy is just handling with his bare hands, no protection at all.
Right. We are still here. It is the Reporters Roundtable, and we will be back shortly, and we'll be joined by the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. He is in the house. So stay with us. We'll be right back. My name is Rebecca Ewa. Keep watching the Reporters Roundtable with GBC24 this and every other Thursday.
Reporters Roundtable has come at the time that it should. It's a very important program. We are now going to educate the public about our practice, and hopefully inform them about the work we do and how we do it. Keep watching Reporters Roundtable.
Watch Reporters Roundtable and get in touch with some of the best brains in the field of journalism. It's a good program. All the best.
Right, welcome back to the Reporters Roundtable, and we are looking at the National Crusade against stopping the menace of Galamsey, and also we'll be touching on mob action, whether it is justified, later in the program. But we have been joined by the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Welcome.
Thank you.
What will be different about this approach that the ministry is adopting, and are we going to see a complete cessation of this illicit trade?
Yeah, thank you once again, and good morning to your listeners. I think the difference this time is the approach is coming out more of a sustainable, a multi-sectorial dimension. And on top of that, there's going to be a policy directions which can take us up to about 5 years. That will include the MMIP, which we call the Multilateral Mining Integration Project, which will continue after what we are doing, the diplomacy, the advocacy, media involvement, and the combat and the militant approach. Then the fifth pillar will be the MMIP that will follow. So that is the difference. And the combat and the militant approach that is going to start shortly, of course, based on the 3 weeks that we gave. It's going to be more sustainable. It's not going to be the piecemeal, approach that we've seen in the past. And so it involves a lot of preparations to make sure that we are able to withstand the difficulties that has, confronted us as a nation.
But if the Galamseyers refuse to heed to this 3-week ultimatum, as you said, you'll be using a combatant approach. If they fail to pay heed to that call, what would be your next line of action?
Well, I think also that most of the illicit miners themselves have realized that it's time they say enough for what has happened so far to the environment. I've had calls from areas, and it's clear that the 26 million, 7 million Ghanaians that are behind this crusade are more than the few individuals up on the field that are doing this. Importantly, even if you go apart from the warhead, where the source of funding that we know totally has nothing to do with Ghanaians, these are foreigners. Even when you go down to the operational level, at the substructure level that we witness a high level of traffic density in terms of the operations, most of those guys working there are not even Ghanaians. This is a fact. So if people go up there and say they are Ghanaians, they're fighting for their livelihood, most of them are not Ghanaians. People from Mali, Togo, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, all of them are involved in this business. So we, as a country, have no doubt in our mind that the small-scale mining, that is within our regulatory framework, is preserved for Ghanaians to undertake, but it should do it in a more sustainable manner. The difficulty we are seeing now is that it's even becoming more difficult to differentiate between the small-scale miners and then the illicit miners. What is interesting is that about 1,500, concessions, licenses that have been given to small scales under the regulatory framework, which is backed by law, have not satisfied the conclusiveness of that, processes, because most of those processes in terms of the small scale had not even been ratified by Parliament. And so invariably, the small scale, in quotation, that claim to be legal, of course,
also
the processes of making it conform to the norms of the framework that we all abide to, it's not conclusive because Parliament has not ratified most of those, concessions. So that is the difficulty. And so if you want to go closely in accordance with the terms and the principles of the law, those so-called legalized, those so-called small-scale
yeah,
miners, of course, are not small-scale miners because most of their concessions have not been properly, rectified.
Right. Okay. But do the ministry have any data on the number of people who are involved in this trade? Let's talk about, let's say, segregation and the skill they have.
People
when we
are
talk about
coming up
segregation
with
in terms of women involved, men involved, children who are into this trade and all of that. Do you have any data on that?
And in some of the pits, you see people in a range of about 150, 40, in pits trying to work. People are coming of all kind of figures. In terms of the direct people involved in the factory hands, they are calling between 700 to 800,000. People are saying collectively as, a multiplier effect, about 1.something million people. I mean, these are figures that are coming up. I have not done any scientific research.
But the ministry does not have a data on them.
We don't have
I think the ministry will not have a data. You see,
because they are not
illegal. It's like saying that how many, do you have a data of armed robbers in the country?
And even that,
who go and register
day in, day out, people are joining.
You see, the point, I'm thinking that the starting point is that, no, we shouldn't kid ourselves. It is illegal. And that is where we are starting from. Look, I work with City FM for well over 2 years. Consistently, we've been on this. And let me tell you, the effects of this, illegal thing scared us so much to the extent that the whole structure of City FM had to wage some form of campaign against it. And look, just let me read something to you. In our campaign, we are demanding 5 things. One of it is total cessation of all small and medium scale mining for a period of 6 months. And you know why? You see, this is a problem that is facing us like an octopus. If we don't put a stop to it at a point and re-evaluate the process, we'll get lost. So those who are involved or those who are making the argument of, oh, let's attach human face. No. Once we can attach the same human face to armed robbery, don't let us stretch these things to illegality. That is how we get it wrong in this country. The second thing is that we say cease issuance of new mining licenses for a year. Because that would allow you the breathing space to be able to identify even places that needs to be mined, places that can't be mined. You give licenses and people moved into the bushes. They moved onto our water bodies with some funny equipment called shaftans and all those, and they are just mining anyhow, going deep down into the water beds. And we sit here and policymakers are, I don't know, but there seems to be, currently as I sit here, I can equally say that there seems to be no coordination between policymakers. Because a chief is sitting at his palace and somebody appears with a license and they know what to do. So let's give the chief some money. He's happy. Okay, go inside. And the people go and mine. Go onto Google Maps and check 1997. Anybody who is listening now, 1997, the area view or just the place, Chebi, and check 2017. You'll be sad. The kind of picture that you'll be confronted with. Yeah, go into the Western region, the kind of things we... Let me just end with you say we are also talking about reclassifying mining categories.
Yeah, I'll allow you to complete that list, but because the minister will leave us shortly, I would want him to have a little more of the bite. Then I'll come back to you to complete your list. You've touched on 2 already, so we'll touch on the other 3. Please bear with me. But with what he has said, how is the ministry going to put out a strategy, a well-coordinated strategy, so that we disabuse the minds of people on the true implications of Galamsey?
Thank you. First of all, let me use this opportunity to congratulate and commend the City FM for they've started this war. I mean, I was then there.
Then in opposition.
You're not in opposition. I was then in Volta region when and some of us contributed and admit and admire what they've done and try to support them from behind. It's been a very good job they do. What is different now is that you have a president that has a will. You have the president that is so much concerned about the future of these generations. Without a president that is saying that enough, it is enough. We have a president that is saying that there's going to be an alternative livelihood as people continue to save for those guys. Without a president that is saying that we supporting, the 27 million Ghanaians there to say enough is enough. So that alone gives us the mandate and then the hope that we have to work in fulfillment of the agenda and principles of the president. The difference, as you rightly put it, there's high level of coordination, as I've already stated. The president has constituted about 9-member ministerial committee, including myself, my ministry, water and sanitation, local government, reorganization, Ministry of Defense, national security, environment, and information. So about 8 ministries are, together in this fight, well coordinated, processes. You saw the delivery of the Minister for Information quite recently when he joined the trade of the media fraternity. So all those are part of the advocacy program, which is well coordinated within our, our framework of resolving this approach. That is one stand. We started with the diplomacy, talking to the various ministries, departments, donors, agencies, for them to come in and support. The mining companies are all being involved in this diplomatic level. The middle approach, which is going to follow, us what I talked about, moving actually to the ground and making sure that we put a stop to that. And then that comes immediately with the MMIP, which is a 5-year project. So there's a coordinated, approach, and we have laid down these things clearly, and we know in our mind exactly what we're going to do. The MMIP, for instance, is not a one-stop, activity. It's going to be a 5 years. When we expect that by 5 years, we should be able to see return of this water back to some of their origin. There is a talk about bringing in water police to man this, putting boats on the rivers, making sure police are in these boats to drive across, applications of technology, the use of drones at high level, to make sure that monitoring is done, tracking of the devices, earth-moving equipment. 60% of the earth-moving equipment that are brought into this country do not find themselves working on the roads. They are up there in the forest, trying to degrade the land. So we are in collaborations with agencies to see how we can track this device. So in real time, you'll be able to identify at a particular point in time when there's an excavator working up in the forest. So we have deep knowledge of exactly what we wanted to do. The MMIP has an element. Currently, you see the degradation that we saw going on is because the people go, they dig here, you can't find the gold, they go and dig here. In my language, as I keep on saying, they say matrai, makwe, they are digging all over.
They don't do prospecting. All they do is that let's go and then
you must go and pick the gold. And so what we are saying is, yes, we will help you identify prospective blocks, put you there on those prospective blocks, bring in a central processing plant. And so your ore, with the help of the prospective, we should be able to identify the percentage of gold in that ore. So if you bring a 10-tonner ore, we should be able to tell you that you have 10 milligrams of gold. So you put your ore through the processing plant, you do your processing, and you pay a fee. And so these are discussions that are going, and these are going to involve some amount of money. And that's why that project falls along with the MMIP, which is a 5-year project. So we know in our mind, we are clear in our mind what we want to do. Yes, we don't just want to move there, put the military police, put the, drive them away and come back, and the same equipments are being brought. For me personally, I'm of the view that why do you go and get those equipment and say you seize them? We must get those equipment and blow them up. Of course, I mean, if you go and seize the cocaine, you should be able to destroy it in the public view. And so we are examining what the law says. If the law allows us to destroy those equipment, we destroy the equipment in the public view. That can be done openly. We don't seize the equipment, keep them, and they turn back again and go in for those equipment. It will defeat our purpose.
But you have been criticized of begging the Chinese to actually help you fight this menace. But your critics say that, okay, allow the law to work when these Chinese are caught. What do you have to say to your critics?
When I started this, I told you we started from a diplomatic level first, and I took you through there. Well, it was not beg. Well, I'll keep on saying that if the begging has to do the trick, I have no problem. Not at all. I don't lose my dignity if I beg. But the people who visited me are not the people who are involved in the illicit mining. These are the diplomats, these are the mayor from Guangzhou, the Chinese ambassador, people working with the embassy, and leaders and opinion leaders from that community that are involved in Galamsey. In China, it's not everybody that is engaged in this business. There's a particular city that we find a lot of people involved, and that city is the Guangzhou. And this is where the people came from, So I was appealing to them, the word I use, because my belief is that they will be able to understand their language better. And so I'm appealing to you, go up there within the next 3 weeks, talk to your people to move out of their areas of operation, because we're going to catch on them. And even they themselves want to find out from me, how long is this operation going to take? I said, 3 weeks' time. Go there and talk to them. I'm appealing to you. I have no problem, and I keep on appealing. I'm appealing to all the media houses, and I keep on, if there is a need for me to beg somebody to make sure that we resolve this, I will do that. And so that next time you don't come back to me and tell me I haven't used a diplomatic approach. So the word is appeal, and I keep on appealing to all agencies, all departments. The mining companies are involved in this, the mineral commissions, you know, everybody is involved in this fight. And I keep on appealing to everybody. The 27 million Ghanaians, I'm appealing to them to get involved. And so if Ghanaians or the media fraternity understood the language I've been begging, what I say is that, well, if that would do the trick, I mean, I will continue to beg.
But I'm sure within the laws of Ghana, communities within these areas have some rights. Can you share with us some rights they can start enforcing before they even go to the police when they are overwhelmed?
Of course, there are indigenous rights in every mining community. There's this thing we call the pre-informed consent. You need to inform communities, you know, before you get into, you don't just walk to a mining concession and start mining. You need to engage the stakeholder. So communities have rights. The mineral rights, it's, of course, the minerals is owned by the citizens, but it's wholly in trust by the government. Okay. The surface rights is the responsibility of the landowner. But what is beneath the surface is not. But that hasn't been, before you get access to the surface beneath, you need to destroy the top surface. And that right is owned by the community. The community owns the surface right. So they have the cocoa farm, they have everything on top of the surface. And so if concessions are granted, of course, for large-scale mining, for whatever purposes it, you need to have some form of discussions with those who have the surface right. But what we are witnessing is that the people who own the surface right willingly are giving those rights to, you know, these illicit miners. They are selling their cocoa farms, they are selling their lands, you know, to these people to come and engage in this activity. When you talk to them, because they give you an example and say because the large-scale miners are taking their goals and things away, that is what they have to do. But that is wrong.
Their motivation is so wrong. That
is wrong. And that is why I keep on saying that what is happening now is a total lawlessness. It's lawlessness. I agree with you. We need to apply the law. But there are processes in application of this law. So it's complete lawlessness.
But what happens after you rid the people of the places? Do you have a program where we can regain or we can restore the
reclamation? Yes, there's going to be a reclamation. Again, that is also going to provide a livelihood. There's a company I'm going to tell me maybe around 3 o'clock, you know, from here. There's a company that comes out with from South Africa, which we call Maximum Gold Recovery. We have even realized that most of those pits that have been dug around, where especially golds have been found, a lot of those ores still have some element of gold in it. You know, we can even process those things. You know, so the companies are coming out to put those plants at places and process them. That again can give them job, you know, in those areas of operation where they can do reclamation and tree planting. So of course, there's an attempt to make sure that we do not just take them out and leave them completely, but we can re-engage them. Those that want to do the mining and do it in a sustainable way, of course, will be given the alternative to do it.
But what is the ministry looking forward to from traditional leaders and even those involved in the trade themselves?
Well, we have had discussions with some traditional leaders. I was in Obuasi where I interact with the chiefs, you know, opinion leaders. The chiefs are of the view that it is not their responsibility. One of the chiefs, I quite remember, told me that, Mr. Minister, I don't have a gun to drive these people away. It's the law enforcement agency. I understand precisely. But again, the difficulty is that some of them are also engaged.
Yeah, that's the point. It doesn't have a gun, but it's as crooked as...
but it's not all of them.
Ballistic missile.
Not all of them. There are communities there that the chiefs are strongly against what is happening. I just had an email today where some of the chiefs are driving the people away from some of these communities. So not all chiefs are involved, just as, you know, and not all citizens are engaged in this particular activity.
But I don't know, I have these two journalists. I know Richard is charged because he's been around. Edem has also been around as well. Let me give Edem an opportunity because he's been quiet for a long time. Any question for the minister before he leaves?
Well, my question will have to do with the Kibi areas. You know, in the president's
State of the Nation
address and the budget reading by the finance minister, it was stated that the state plans to mine bauxite in the Tiwa forest. And Tiwa forest, as we know, is the source of 3 major rivers, that's Densu, Ayensu, and Brim. The Brim we know is heavily polluted, the Ayensu is on its way of pollution, and the Densu, which provides water to about 5 million residents of Accra, is also under attack. So how is the ministry going to manage this, since the amount of bauxite we are going to get within the 20 years period that the government is proposing will not amount to even $300 million compared to all the other resources like timber and bushmeat and other things that we are going to get from the forest?
No, it's quite a good concern and a genuine one, of course. What happens is that there's going to be an environmental audit, you know, and that environmental audit goes into details to examine the afterthoughts and then also the consequences of the actions of mining. There's going to be, you know, more like a simulations effect. And so those things will be examined carefully. It's not a matter of just moving to the forest and start, you know,
but isn't that a government way of illegal sort of mining?
No, at all. Because if an environmental audit comes out to indicate that, of course, going there to do this activity is going to affect, you know, some of the natural resources that you're talking about, you can have the thought, but the permit will not be granted. That is how it works. Yeah.
Okay. Richard, you have the last one.
Well, mine is just a contribution. First, on the appeal aspect and also some of the things that I think can be added. I think, yes, diplomacy is allowed in these instances. But you see, for those who are well-traveled, if you've ever been to China before, when you are getting out of their country, they won't allow you to take any artifact, original artifact of theirs out. It is their law. At the airport, when they open your things and it's inside, they seize. They don't appeal to you. Look, the people, they know they don't understand. They know that they don't understand our language, but they understand our water bodies to destroy it. The 3 weeks period is even too much. You know, they are destroying, Massa. They are destroying. I think let's move in on them because there are laws that support it. There are laws that support the ministry. 14 days
to the expiration of this.
That one is a ministry. It's a policy level, bigger policy level, because there are many things. Look, these things are intertwined. Like he said, he's been speaking to chiefs. He's been speaking to. There are politicians involved. Look, 2 years ago, whilst we were in it, I mean, City FM covering it, there was a district chief executive who was indicted, and he even had to be removed from post because of this. Because he was prepared to compromise his position, take little monies and allow people just to go and destroy. There are chiefs who, because they hide under the cloak that, okay, they are not the ultimate people who license, and therefore, but they know that they have the original right to the land. But so when you come and you give some money, you are able to go. I'm thinking that, like he said, we should apply the law and apply it very fast, extend. And maybe it might look extreme, but I think that, look, as we speak now, our military is mandated to protect our territorial integrity. We face a more existential threat in this very particular field. Let's deploy them to end this thing. Within 3 days and 2 hours, they can end this whole.
Before I let you off the hook, Mr. Minister, there are politicians involved in this. There are people of high-ranking people are involved who are financing. There are people under. How are you going to deal with all these things?
Well,
can you fight your own?
We're not trying to disintegrate and find out who is involved in this. No, that's not the approach. The approach is to clear the system. So irrespective of who is involved, I'm not going to get to a pit and find out who owns this pit or where is the source of funding for the pit. It is wrong. It's wrong. It's lawlessness. The law must apply.
When you are
and
caught,
that is the
there,
approach.
you are
Of
caught.
course, that's the approach we're going in.
And I think I like your idea of destroying the equipment.
Yes, that one. I mean, well, let's get there. You guys will see.
The law supports you. Destroy it. It's illegal.
Yeah. Right, Richard. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for passing through the Reporters Roundtable. It is the Reporters Roundtable. Please stay with us. We will be back shortly. Yeah. is the Reporters Roundtable, and good to have you join us for another edition. Today we are in here with the Director General of the GBC in the person of Dr. Kwame Ekufu Anofinto, who will be telling us more about the coalition that the media has formed to fight the menace of Galamsey. Thank you for joining us, sir.
It's my pleasure.
What is this whole media coalition to fight the Galamsey menace about? Is it a trigger journalism, or what would you call it?
Well, I wouldn't describe it so. To a very great extent, the media should have been the first to, as it were, bring the menace to the attention of the society. And so that would have been a duty that the media would be expected to perform, you know, as an early warning, you know, feature of the society. Regrettably, the media didn't do that. And so we find ourselves in a situation where it's rather people in political positions who are activating the process. What that means, therefore, for the media is that we plug into it and use the resources available to promote the issue. And by promoting, I'm talking about not just setting the agenda and keeping the issue focused, but also framing how the issue ought to be discussed. Because once we begin to talk about Galamsey, it has a tendency of being looked at in several directions, whether it's an economic issue, whether it's a social issue, whether it's an ethical issue, all those issues are available. And so it's important for the media to be able to constantly bring attention to the menace, to recognize that this is a menace and it poses a danger to all of us. And once we keep it on the banner, then the natural progression is for us to frame it in a manner that makes it productive. And even more importantly, ensure that we are going to move beyond the discussion level to impacting on policy. Because if it's just a matter of talking amongst ourselves, very little is going to be achieved. But we are hoping that we are going to go beyond the discussion of the issues, and then we are going to move into the policy sphere. And that is why it's interesting that this whole call emanated from the president.
Right, so how far and how long would the media continue to do this?
For as long as it's necessary. For as long as it's necessary. Yesterday I tried in my presentation when the launch was made to draw attention to the fact that it will be an error to just focus on the Galamsey as a ghetto, as an isolated event, and leave the adjoining issues that also require critical attention. Because once you see it as a menace, then you begin to frame it in a manner as to come to the determination that there are other related issues. And if that is the case, then, for example, how plastics are treated becomes a critical issue. How waste is disposed of becomes a critical issue. You talk about how we fish in our water bodies is a critical issue. The introduction of chemicals, as fishing tools and all of those, they are all critical issues. So for me, the Galamsey only, and that was also something I tried to draw attention to, that the Galamsey menace should be used as a case study. It should be used as an entry point to enable us to explore larger questions. And these larger questions should be revolving around human and the material resources. Who has access to those resources? Who determines who should have access to it? Under what conditions can you access it? And who has the moral responsibility to ensure that the resources are kept in a manner that future generations will benefit from?
Right. What is different about this approach that the media coalition is doing? Because there have been previous attempts to clamp down on the Galamsey menace.
Right. I think the difference is that we have identified that this is a serious problem. And so it's not only the intensity of the problem, but it's also the fact that it's going to be interdepartmental in several respects. So you find different government agencies, water resource, what other resources are there? Lands and natural resources and all of those, environment, right? Science and technology and all of those. So all these departments are coming on board. So that's at the level of governmental. And of course, to the extent that the government has set, the president has set a ministerial committee that is going to be responsible for this menace. And so if you look at these two levels, then of course the natural level is to look at the media and the role they are going to be playing. And to the extent that it's not just us, public service, but also commercial, private, newspaper and electronic, should give you a sense that this onslaught is multidimensional. And so for me, the attraction and the difference is that a whole wide group of agencies are involved in this fight. And so my expectation is that with the blessing of the President, we are going to be able to put this matter to a rest.
Right. How difficult is it to fight this menace?
It's difficult to project, but suffice it to say, if you are going to judge by previous efforts and the difficulties that various stakeholders have had in their effort to confront it, you could say that it's not going to be easy. As to how difficult it's going to be, it's difficult to tell. But perhaps your natural question would be, why is it going to be difficult?
Yeah, sure.
And it's because, from what we hear, there are very important people who are involved in this practice. People in positions of authority, whether traditional authority, people in positions of making public policy, and people who are supposed to be holding those properties and mineral resources in trust for the people that they oversee. If all of them are involved in this menace, then you can appreciate that it's not going to be easy to get them to come around. But we've gotten to a stage where we've gone beyond recognition. It's a problem. Everybody recognizes that. We've gotten to a stage where we are looking at finding solutions to the problem. So it's going to be difficult. But I'm certain that once we come with a concerted effort and we focus on it, it's going to happen. But I also want to draw attention to something that I said yesterday, and it's something that I feel very passionate about. And it is that perhaps this Galamsey thing must also be looked at as an example of how far we've, as it were, moved from our ethos as a society. And I try to draw attention to the fact that with respect to the Galamsey, you are going to be talking about the tension between ethics and the market, okay? When I say ethics and the market, I'm talking about how people who have to take moral responsibility are undermining that responsibility because everybody is looking for money. And it is not just the Galamsey issue, it is in every aspect of our social life. That we've gotten to a stage in our social life where it is becoming increasingly difficult for people in positions of authority to be able to draw that distinction, that delicate balance between the market, the state, the individual, and all the multiple factors that we are confronted with. So wherever you go, the first question they ask you is, what money are you bringing to the table? And sometimes that's the wrong question to pose, because even for us in broadcasting, they are going to be asking you, how much is this going to cost? How much are you generating? Without asking you who you are. So the underlying factor is that as a society, we have, for some reason, overlooked our values. And we've tended to dwell too heavily on what the market gives us at the expense of other things, such as the human capital that we have, such as the ethics that we all hope that we are going to be able to bring it to the attention of our children.
Let me hit you with this one. The city of Columbia has rejected an amount of $35 billion gold mine from investors in mining in their town or in their country, all because the minister says they want to protect their environment. Right. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure this decision would have been based on cost benefit. It's not an easy decision to make because you need to engage all the stakeholders. I'm sure that if they didn't have anything at all as an alternative, it would have been very difficult for them to take this decision. So if you go back, you might find that they have access to other resources that will compensate for this. But even if they didn't have, it might be a case that they don't find the mining as an immediate solution to their problem, considering the long-term or the medium-term effect, on themselves and on their ancestors. So it is something that ultimately, the minister said that there was going to be a moratorium. Yeah. So in that respect, it tells us that the danger, as we see it, has to be addressed immediately. So in a way, we are also going there. We are going to get to a point where we are going to say, you know what, everybody should just take it easy and let's find a rational way of dealing with this matter. And once we get to that stage, then we'll make a decision where to go from there. So I would say it's a good decision.
Right, so you heard Dr. Kwame Ekufu Anovinto. He is the Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation has joined forces with other media houses to clamp down on the perpetrators of this illicit act. I have few messages in here. Let me take few of them, then we come back to the studio to continue with the discussion. This one says, from the Floating Voters Association, we are totally in support of the minister's decision since it is causing more harm than good to our cocoa farms and the destruction of our water bodies. We are therefore appealing to government and other politicians to contribute their necessary efforts to prune out the illegal miners rather than creating invincible forces among us in the country. And this one is coming from, it is signed by the President, Anderson Ben. Floating Voters. This one says, interesting discussion. Military deployment, says the City FM journalist. Do we know lessons from why ending Galamsey failed? How is it informing the current crusade? Right, you didn't add your name, but those are very valid questions you've asked here. And so for me, if this menace has to stop, we need not to give another 3 weeks to continue spoiling our water bodies. I believe it will be extra dangerous. We should act now. Unfortunately, you also didn't add your name. I am saying that we should blame ourselves for this Galamsey activities. Why we started demonizing the river gods. Now they have left. See the distraction we are being faced with. This one is from Andy. Andy, a beacon. Okay, you're a beacon, so shine wherever you are. I know that one is coming from a schoolmate, I guess. Yeah, Ghana Secondary School, Kofodia. I know you're a beacon. Good, Andy. Good morning, Mr. Amewu. You were with the president condemning the previous government and encouraging Galamsey workers to intensify what they are doing. Today, you are a minister and you want us to help you. Do you see yourself now? What goes around comes around. Good day from Felix. Wow, the minister unfortunately has left my studio, so cannot react to that. Interesting conversation. Right, I have a very long one here, but let me take this. Right, this one says, a very good discussion there. This issue of Galamsey is long overdue. If we are to tackle this issue, then if we are not able to tackle this issue, then it means our lives will be threatened, because water, they say, is life, and what will become of the human race if we have no good water to drink? Right. Okay, let me come back to the studio. Joyce, there has been this issue of allowing district assemblies to take full responsibility in tackling the illegal, these illegal activities. Do they have the capacity to do that?
I don't think so. Because, one, the question is, why do we have this issue on our hands at this time? Because these illegal miners, or those, regardless of where they come from, be it Ghanaians, be them African nationals or the Chinese, they realized that there were loopholes in our system. Our laws are not working, and this is not about this. All our environmental laws are not being applied. We don't really sanction anybody. So when they came in and they are doing it, what kind of law do you have to really sanction them? So they realized the loophole and manipulated it, and they are still doing it. So the district assemblies alone can't really handle it. To me, that is how I see it. Unless we all, like we are doing, there are laws, and after laws, sanctions. Because elsewhere, you can do a driving, if you want a driving license, you are being given a manual to read to begin with. Secondly, you go have a test, after which you go on a road test, and you will fail 4 times and you wouldn't have a license. What do we have here? We have people who are somewhere who can just give a license, and when we hear the carnage on our roads, we scream. So these are some of the things that we need to address. If you don't do this, or these are what prevails, if you violate this, yes, there are people who one way or the other might violate some of these laws. But if you are caught, because there's no way you can have a driver's license for a salon car and drive a bigger truck. No, it won't work. And if you are caught, this is how the law says, if you drink and drive, your license is seized to begin with. And in countries where you have to drive, and driving is like becomes part of it, you are handicapped without a driving license. I don't think you will indulge in some of these things. So it's up to us to let our system or our laws work. And when they are working, because like he told the minister that you can't do this in China. Why can't you do it in China? Because the law is working. You go to other countries where it's a traffic or a stop sign, and it's first come, first go, and we abide by that. That is because if you are caught, the kind of penalties that you are made to face, you wouldn't like it. And then the policeman won't come to stand, and you just take your vehicle plate number, and you are done. There won't be any negotiation. So until our laws are working, I don't think we have issues on our hands there.
Adam, do you share the same?
Yes, I feel that the district assemblies, to begin with, they will not be well resourced to combat these illegal mining activities. And most of these officers at the district levels are the ones who go in for the bribes and take money from the miners and allow them to mine. So it will be very difficult for them to clamp down on them unless it takes a national approach in character before we'll be able to address this menace.
Richard?
Well, to me, I think we have moved on. So that suggestion of district assemblies is mute. It's mute. We've moved on from there. We are now facing such a threat that we are now not going to say these people should handle it and all that. I think from what the minister said, it looks elaborate. And somebody sent a test and he says, have we examined what made the other campaign fail? Yes. Unless the person says that he doesn't know, that we were coerced by the Chinese and all, and because of our own ineptitude, the state as Ghana went to sleep, and we allowed these things just to go on. We couldn't act with our own policies and all that, and we want to say that let's go before we tackle this thing that in the next 10 years, you were saying the next not too distant future. In the next, we had somebody on CTF. He says in the next 10 years, if we don't handle this, we have to be importing water. Do you know what that means? Well, it means that we are going to make poorer the places that are in existence who are doing these things. You see, there was an MP that I interacted with some time ago.
Before you continue with the issue of the MP, I hear we have Isaac Tetemensa online. Let's speak to him first. I'll come back to you. Isaac Tetemensa is a public health administrator. Hello, Isaac. Good to have you online.
Yeah, I'm online.
Hello, Isaac. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. What challenge does Galamsey activities pose to public health?
It's a lot. Anyway, good morning to your lawful listeners.
Good morning, we can hear you.
Okay, Galamsey operation is causing a lot of harm to the public. Now, when we look at the environmental aspect of our country, that is the water, the land, and the air. I want to dwell much on the water because, in public health, we are always advocating for enough water to be drunk and all that. And today, we see our water being a lot turbid. You understand? pH values of water, our water is being increased. The turbidity is nothing to write home about. The total trace of metals that are being found in this water is also something to really call for advocacy. Now, if we do not tackle this issue of Galamsey imminently, in the near future, then what we are going to do is that we are going to now have a lot more people coming out with diseases of the lungs, damages of the lungs, the kidneys are going to be damaged, intestinal damages, and then nervous breakdowns. These are some of the few things that are going to happen when we do not tackle the issue of the Galamsey because of the kind of metal that they use, the mercury especially that they use in these their unlawful practices that they do. Environmentally, that is the land aspect. We can talk of the environmental degradation. You see, our forest covers are being now eroded away by these operations by Galamseyers. And this is a matter of public health that we need a multi-sectorial collaboration to be able to mitigate this menace of the Galamseyers.
We're told that HIV/AIDS, teenage pregnancy, together with prostitution and malaria, is also rearing its ugly head in these areas. How true is this?
Yeah, these things are very true because, we have these foreigners from, let's say, our neighboring countries and then also from China especially, who are invading these communities. And, it has actually from some few media write-ups that I've read and then some few, let me say, for lack of better word, like a few articles that I've read from these things shows that promiscuity, sexual promiscuity actually has now been on the ascendancy in these communities that have Galamsey operations in their communities. And when we see promiscuity abounding in a certain community or neighborhood, that means that what we're going to see is a lot of teenage pregnancy and then HIV/AIDS, because the partners that are going to indulge these people in sexual acts, we do not know their status. And usually these people, they don't have one partner. And one partner, a person not having one partner means that there's a higher tendency of the person having an HIV, and which would replicate in him or her distributing these viruses into other individuals that they get into contact with. Do you understand?
Yeah. All right. So, Mr. Tete,
yes,
let's end it here so that we can also look at other aspects. I thank you so much for your time with us.
Right. Okay, so I'll be much available. I'm sorry, I'm not. Right, I was actually a little busy. I accepted your call earlier.
Fine, that is acceptable. I know.
Sure, all right.
All right, thank you so much. Right, so you heard Mr. Isaac Tete Mensah, who is a public health administrator, telling us the public health implication as far as this issue is concerned. It is diverse. This issue, we can say it unending. But we'll go for a quick break and we'll come back. Stay with us. My name is Rebecca Ewa. Keep watching the Reporters Roundtable with GBC24 this and every other Thursday.
Journalism is dynamic, and as part of our responsibility, we are supposed to go out there, fish for information for the public. Today in Ghana, it is our duty to ensure that the masses know what is going on in society. Reporters Roundtable is a program that you can get all these things. Watch Reporters Roundtable with Rebecca Ewa this and every Thursday.
Reporters Roundtable has come at the time that it should. It's a very important program. We are now going to educate the public about our practice and hopefully inform them about the work we do and how we do it. Keep watching Reporters Roundtable.
Presenters Fabric for the Reporters Roundtable is sponsored by ATL. ATL, bringing fabrics to life. More information is online at www.akosombo-textiles.com.
Right, welcome back to the Reporters Roundtable. We have Bright appear online, and Bright is with Child's Right International. Hello, Mr. Apia.
Yes.
Good. What has been the impact of Galamsey on children in mining communities?
Yeah, well, the impact of Galamsey has had a multiple effect on children. That is, one, denying them to have access to quality education, denying them to also have access to good health care, and denying them to also have access to their privacy in terms of the protection that we need to give them. So if you look at all this, it gives them a certain, it places them in a situation where you can say that you can protect them against any other issue that pertains in the environment, especially when it comes to sexual abuse cases and also discipline. So it opens them up for any kind of thing at all to happen to children.
But do children have a right when it comes to these things?
Yes, of course. The right of children is always defined by the Constitution as well as the Children's Act and any other protocol or convention document that is signed. So clearly, we have defined what is good for children. One of the things that we've used to define it in the whole is that whatever our act must always protect the best interest of children. So clearly, the state has defined it in that context. So the right to education is compulsory and it's basic for every child. So you cannot deny children that right. Their right to health care is also defined. Their right to food and everything is also defined. So clearly, their right has been defined. But if you look at the broader definition that is given to it in terms of the best interest of children, the activities of children in the Galamsey area itself is not something that we need to uphold, and even the safety of children who participate in it and who live within the environment is also something that we need to also talk about. Because if you look at the chemicals that they use during the Galamsey, it also brings some health issues to children, and even the threat that they have to go through to access education is also one matter, because sometimes some of the students walk about 5 kilometers or 2 or 6 kilometers to have access to education. So if they are going and then the environment is not so conducive for them to even trust and then be bold enough to walk to school, then that also denies them the right that they deserve and all that. So whichever way you look at it, the activities of Galamsey do not have any positive impact on children.
So what has been the contribution of Child's Right International in helping children in these communities?
Yeah, well, what we have done, we are in the trade district, especially where the mining communities are, and then cocoa production, because most of the mining communities do have cocoa production. And we've carried out a research which we will soon make public in 3,992 households in the area. And we have identified about 10,000 people in a household, and then also identified about 5,000 children who are below the age of 18 who are in those households. Out of that, we realized that about 2,000 of them are out of school, and we did investigation to also establish the reasons why they are out of school. And if you look at the areas in terms of those who are working in the cocoa, those who are working in the agricultural sector, and those who are doing domestic work, as well as Galamsey. If you look at all these thematic areas, you realize that Galamsey is stopping, and the children who are between the ages of 12 to 17 years are involved in that kind of work, which of course clearly shows that the law does not even allow that children to work in a hazardous condition. So we have identified about 117 of them in that area, which we will soon be supporting to get them back to school and all that. But it is just an intervention that is just looking at sending them back to school. But it's also the area of health issues that we have to look at. That is why we've also joined the campaign. And what that we are saying is that even in enrolling the campaign, certain operating standards must also be observed so that we protect the dignity of children in the process. If there needs be that the state have to evacuate people and then also start people from the mining site and all that, we think that once children are involved, certain protocols must be observed, which we would also follow up. But we are giving them direct support, which I'm saying that we are identified by 117 that will be supporting this year. And then we would also establishing child development funds to support children whose parents are cocoa farmers and all that. And definitely there are a lot of cocoa farmers whose children are working in the mining sector. So once we are able to deal with the mining issues, the Galamsey issues, I think that it will also bring a rescue to these children, and which we would also follow up in the areas that we are working in.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Appiah, for your time.
Yeah, thank you too.
Right. Mr. Bright Appiah is a child rights activist with Child's Right International. Right, we have looked at the impact on children and on public health, but let me come back to you in the studio. Richard, what alternative livelihoods or livelihood schemes can be introduced to people in these communities?
Well, that is community specific. So we are not looking at a wholesale something. And when the minister was speaking, he said that within their plan, there's an aspect of integration and all that. But you see, for me, my only problem when discussing those things is that we tend to put side by side the issue of alternative livelihood with the issue of illegality. So then if you are taking them from the illegality, please provide something. No, it is illegal. It's illegal, so they should go. They should stop. When they stop, all others, we are 27 million Ghanaians, and this activity is going to put the whole 27, this activity by a few million people or thousands of people is putting the lives of 27 million Ghanaians in some danger. And you want to tell me that we should go and look for alternatives for them before we stop them? No, I say no, because you see, if you look across Ghana and you look across our strata, our social strata and kind of working, everybody tries to find something to do. So yes, we complain about joblessness and all that, but like I'm saying, it must be community specific. Okay. There are people who are capable of doing some things. Yes, when
right, it should be community specific. Please end it right there. Jonathan Bethe is on the line. Jonathan Bethe is a PRO of Ghana Education Service. Mr. Bethe, Reverend Bethe.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you on the Reporters Roundtable.
We are still in the morning, yes.
Yes. What's the devastating effect of illegal mining on the education of our children?
Well, thank you very much. I believe everybody in this country is concerned about this illegal mining, which is involving the little ones that I will call an innocent children. They are innocent children. And I am believing strongly that the government is aware, the Minister for Education is aware, the Director General, we are all aware that little guys are also involved. People are luring them into this Galamsey. So what we are trying to do is to appeal to the stakeholders, all stakeholders within those communities that this exercise is being carried out to, do away with the children. If they cannot stop at all, they should not use our children in this because it's affecting Ghanaian child.
But has there been any effort where the education service have moved into these areas to ascertain for themselves firsthand what actually the problem is, the root of the problem is?
Well, not yet. I can tell you that this is not our paramount assignment as teachers. You know, teachers are appointed, they are employed to teach children in the classroom, not to be going around looking for children in the community and all that. It's a secondary issue, but we looking at it in a different perspective that this is affecting a Ghanaian child. So management is deciding what to do and how best to involve our district directors, secretary supervisors in these affairs. So when a child is caught in doing that, we want to hold parents responsible, and whatever action that will be taken or punishment that will be meted to that child, we're planning to do those things.
All right, Reverend Bete, we are grateful for your time.
I'm very also grateful to your listeners.
Okay.
Yeah, let me comment
Joyce.
on what Bright Pierre said. He didn't give us as to the gender variations as to those who've dropped out of school, be them boys or girls. But then if it's boys, now we have an issue of this time it's not a girl child go to school, but then the boy, and which is an aspect of the SDG, maintaining kids in school. So this is another area that we are faced with. Reacting to what Reverend Bete just said, these kids are out of school. They've seen a lot of people who've graduated with their degrees and whatnot without jobs. So these people go in there, and after all, what do you lose? Because you end up having all your degrees and whatnot without any job. So to them, they've seen people who are into the business and are making it, or are just showing off these imitated Gucci and Cabana things around in the night and all that. So those are their role models. So this aspect of it, we should tackle it from education in the case of the kids. Why they should be in school, the prospects ahead of them if they are in school and all that. To talk about alternative livelihoods, well, Bright Pierre mentioned that we should just have a human face to this because there are kids in there. This human face is what has really caused that as a nation. Everything we have a human face to it, and at the end of it, nothing works. So as much as to a point, for the kids, they should be encouraged to go back to school. For alternative work, someone has tasted a kind of lifestyle with all the money, if there is any. What kind of, to go into snail farming, and you think that will really work? I don't know what kind of alternative economic activities we have for them.
Adam, let me take your thoughts on what you make of the call on vigilante groups to actually take up the tax of.
No, that's that one.
Or it's a no for you, Richard, but maybe it's a yes for Adam.
It shouldn't be yes for you. That's
yes
lawlessness.
for me as well. It's no. You see, he was talking about children. What I saw on the field, it is actually boys that are more involved. Little boys from age 10 to 15, they are involved, because what they told us is that they have found money at their backyard. So there's no way they will go into the classroom to go and learn up to university level before they go and even look for job or beg for jobs. So the money is right behind them. So that's what they want to find, because some of them make as much as 7 cedis. A 13-year-old boy makes 7 cedis a day, which is even more than what somebody earns in Accra. And a lot of them, most of these miners, they are well resourced. They have money. Because I remember the Land Cruiser I was using, one approached me and told me that he wants to buy the Land Cruiser for his brother, and that I should just follow him. He will give me the money cash. You see, so these guys have money. So as Richard is saying, it will even be difficult to even think of what kind of alternative livelihoods you are going to provide for them to be able to accept it willingly. Because if you talk about cocoa farming, some of them are giving cocoa farms for good, because they feel that the cocoa farms are not yielding enough for them, because at a certain point the country's cocoa plan has even been shaky. So farmers are not, farmers are not getting
the cocoa farms have served you for years.
But the
and
cocoa,
you sell it for 1 month,
the
2
cocoa
years,
farms
you are gone.
are
The money is gone
for years. And these guys, when they are giving, let's say 1 acre of cocoa farm, and he's giving, let's say 50,000 Ghana cedis, he gives it out, forgetting that maybe in about 5 years you could have made about 500,000 Ghana cedis from the cocoa farm. So it's a diverse issue. And the other aspect is that, you see, now we are going to have a lot of issues with children going to school because from the rivers from which they draw water are now polluted. So now it means that before they even go to school in the morning, they have to go and look for water miles away. So because the Ankobra, the Tano, the Ofin, the Pra, the Brim, the Densu, the black water, the white water, and the red water are all gone, and the Ayensu, they are all gone. And these rivers provide for about 500 or 5 million communities in Ghana. You can talk of 3-man communities, huge communities and all that. These are situated along all these river banks, and all these rivers are polluted. It means that drawing water even by the people themselves directly from the water sources is under threat. We are still live here on the Reporters Roundtable. This one says, hi Becca, the church has a big role. Please find out from the churches. You may invite Reverend Professor Joe Y. Mante with prior notice. He is the president of Trinity Theological Seminary and a bioethicist, an environmental advocate and a seasoned theologian. This one is from Reverend Charles Amakwe. We'll come back from our break shortly. Stay.
Watch Reporters Roundtable and get in touch with some of the best brains in the field of journalism. It's a good program. All the best.
Presenters Fabric for the Reporters Roundtable is sponsored by ATL. ATL, bringing fabrics to life. More information is online at www.akosombo-textiles.com.
The Reporters Roundtable has come at the time that it should. It's a very important program. We are now going to educate the public about our practice and hopefully inform them about the work we do and how we do it. Keep watching Reporters Roundtable.
A warm welcome back to the program. It is the Reporters Roundtable, and today we are tackling the issues from all angles and from all sides. Richard, what advice would you give communities who want to stand up to protect or secure their lands, their water bodies, and protect their environment?
I would say, I'll just tell them that they should be resolute in that, because now they have the goodwill of the people, they have the goodwill of government, and everybody who knows the effect of this. So they should just be resolute. If it's about reporting to the right authority, they shouldn't take the law into their own hands though. But the point is that you can prevent crime. It's a crime for somebody to enter into your land and then start just destroying by way of mining and all that. When they see such things, they should be resolute in not allowing same. Because in no time, when these issues or these illegal miners are allowed, in no time they will be buying pure water. Instead of going to the rivers to go and get the water, clean water and drink, instead of allowing Ghana water to pump into their homes water to drink, they will be buying distilled water at a very high cost, and which they can't sustain. And that will make them more poor and poorer. And for that matter, I'm asking them to be resolute, because the goodwill is there now. And within the next few weeks, we must all commit ourselves in ensuring that not only are we keeping the generation now in terms of what is happening, but we are also sustaining the environment for the next generation to come after us.
Right. Yeah. I think for me, before some of them live like in the dreamland. They don't really know what is happening to their water bodies. For now, some NGOs might have provided some borehole or some dugouts for them, so they think they're okay with water. But until they're educated to know that these chemicals that are being used can sip down, and though you might be drinking a clearer one for now, the long-term effect is really scary or it's ahead of us. And also when they paint the picture to them that these are some of the effects that newborn babies can come out with, neurological effects and others. I think that scary picture should be painted for them to really appreciate it, so that when they are agitated or when they are really standing up for their rights, they know what they are about. And that, I think, will work. Because there are other countries where communities have fought big mining companies, or they resisted it, and they really stopped going there. So they have that power to do that.
Adam?
Yes, you see, in some of these communities that this thing happening, it is not that they don't know about the effects on water and on the land.
They can't even go to fishing again.
Yeah,
there's small fishes
they know everything about it. They know that it's causing problems. You see, some of the communities I went to, I spoke to people and they told me that they want the gold because we can have boreholes and other things, but they have forgotten that those boreholes, because the mercury is used by the pit miners as well. Those, when it rains, it washes the chemical.
It seeps into the water table.
Yeah, into the water table and the groundwater. And the groundwater is what the borehole draws. So it means that wherever you find yourself, whether there's borehole or there's no borehole, you are affected. So these communities should stand up and know that even the one on the mainland, we have not even mind about, let me say, 50% of it. So why do we go onto the river to take what is in the river, when on the sides of the river, about, let's say, 5 kilometers, we have not finished mining? You see that? So it should be an approach by every community to make sure that, look, enough is enough. Let's stop them. Let's protect the water bodies. Let's protect the land. Let's protect the farmlands. That is the only way we are going to have them stop. If not, if all the communities are saying, oh, they say, oh, macromia should go, no, macromia because sikaba, obianya sikani bidi, because choba operators. When you see this Galamsey boy,
some of these communities go to I Am Free and Co. From there up to Seshu, some of these communities are today, as we speak, are much poorer. But in the heydays of this very particular activity, the whole community was buoyant. You know, and one thing about it, they get the money, it's so fleeting, they live fleeting life and all that. But the point is that we must think beyond today. And if we fail to do that, this is what we've been faced with, and it's coming to hit us in the face. I was telling you a story about somebody sold his whole cocoa farm and got some money, and he went to buy some car. The car didn't work for 2 months. The car is parked. Now he's angry because he's finished with the money and he's angry. And this cocoa farm had served you for well over 30 years. Now you can't go back to that land because everything, the topsoil is totally destroyed. These people who mine, they are not like the big mining companies, so then it's regulated. You can check them. They don't even know anything about this. So all they know is that we are finding good. And you see, when they scrape even the topsoil, they mix it with the ground, everything, and it's just gone like that. And that is how they leave this particular land for all of us.
Okay, I'll give you one last question each, so that we close the docket on this one, because my time is running very fast.
But you see,
let me start with you, Adam. Yeah, you can do
it.
You can chip in something.
To arrest the issue of the water mining, let me put it that way, we have to go to Swami Magazine, because that is where those vessels are manufactured. Parts of those vessels are manufactured there. So it means that we have to tackle the root. So we have to, the ministry has to send people to Swami Magazine to monitor those who are manufacturing the parts of this vessel that they put on the water bodies.
Okay. In your perspective, what is the weakening effect of Galamsey on our traditional family system, or our traditional?
Well, for what I've seen on the field, you can, because there are some families that, let's say you are my sister and I'm doing Galamsey, you are against me. So it means that there is conflict between even families now. Then there is conflict between Ghanaian men and the foreign men that are coming in, because the Ghanaian men who are doing genuine work like farming, teaching and all that are not able to even now marry the Ghanaian women, because the foreigners who come in have more money. So when you go to places like Dunkwa and Ofin, you see, we saw one hotel completely let me use this word, chartered by the Chinese. They are there. No other guest is allowed to come there. When you go to places like Wasai Kropon, you have a Chinatown there, where almost everything is in Chinese. They have the Chinese restaurants, all the machine shops. They have Chinese signboards without not even a single English word is written on those signboards. It means that, and you see Ghana kids running around in all these communities. Confused. So you can imagine.
How do you call it? China.
Maybe Gachan. Maybe Gachan. So you have all these kind of issues, you know, happening into our cultural setting. It means that then all these Chinese, for instance, are illegal in the first place when you talk about immigration or migration issues, because even not all of them come through the main ports, because the Ghana's borders are so porous that they can enter through anywhere.
Great. Let's talk about the adverse effect it has on our cultural heritage.
Yeah, it has a great effect on our cultural heritage, because there are places where we have sacred groves that people are not, and these sacred groves actually serve as protective buffer zones where some, I wouldn't say endangered species, some rare species are there that protect, rejuvenate or promote biological diversity. So if these groves are really destroyed, like, let me cite an example of the eastern region. If, for instance, the Nananumon pole is destroyed, can you imagine the effect that is going to have? Because that is where Nananums are buried when they pass away. So it really has a heritage effect. Some people have their gods where they go to pray, and others. So it really has an effect. On the issue of land, you know, we have a cultural system where most women don't, ownership of land is a real problem here. Women don't have issues. So if the land is owned by men, and without negotiating with the women who farm on it to make a living, just go and sell it out. At the end of the day, they wouldn't share the money equally, or they wouldn't even let them know. So they really end up driving the women out and sending them back. And this is really a big problem that we need to see to it that it's addressed.
Richard, for you, I'll give you the chance to give me the last three of your agenda.
Well, but to add to all this,
yeah, social acculturation due to the chunk of foreigners that have invaded our territories.
I like the word foreigners, because we shouldn't limit it to Chinese alone. We have Malians, Burkinabes, and those people involved, but it will lead to poverty. That's why. And when there is poverty, family systems are unable to be sustained. So that is what is happening. Like I was saying, I mentioned some of the things we are looking out for at City FM. So aside the total cessation for 6 months, that's the issuance of licenses for small and medium scales. We talk of a season issuance of new mining licenses for a year, and then reclassify mining categories to reflect the use of new and larger equipment. And then the last two is allow our water bodies to regenerate their natural ecology, which is very, very important. And then tree planting and land reclamation projects. These things must be integrated in the whole process. So after we get rid of that exercise, we are looking at a process that will get the nation back on its feet again, because this activity has affected our agricultural produce. There's a linkage not only on health, on education, but there's a linkage with even our productivity. Because if farmlands are being destroyed for such activity, then in no time we would have to be importing. Even currently, we import some of our foods that we eat from our neighboring countries. So we would have to be importing those kind of. You look at our cocoa sector is being destroyed because of this this kind of activity. Because a whole cocoa farm, and when you go to some of the farms, the way they even mine it is annoying. They cut the trees, they just enter into it. And I think that these are some of the things that is what, you see, the effect is what drives the passion of City FM. And we are also part of the media group, because my boss is with GIBA, and is also with NMC, and he's so passionate about it. This thing must end. I think this is the time that the goodwill has been developed. We are not going to go into the history of how it happened and all that. We are saying that it's going to affect us if we don't put a stop to it now, and therefore it must be now.
It must stop.
It must be now. So says the panel. We all agree, right?
Yeah.
Great. We have to end Galamsey now, and I will close the docket on this while I have few minutes to go, but we'll attempt the other topic, that is mob justice, as to whether it is justified. Joyce, is mob justice or mob action, is it a justifiable act?
I don't think so, because it's been tried before. The military men were sent in the, I think, by the previous government to, security men were sent to really go there to address it and didn't work. So taking mob action is not going to work, I think, from my point of view. But really addressing the issue of belonging, because what I've come to realize is that people have gotten to the state of not having a stake in a nation state. They don't really know what is in stake for them. So they take what they see they have now. And that is what I think should be addressed. Because if they don't have employment, that's not to justify that they should have alternative. But then private people, stakeholders can really find a way of getting something done within communities or where mining activities operate. A reflection, I mean mining, meaning legalized one, it should reflect in the community so that people there will know that, after when we approve or this kind of legalized one is in our town, it opens up the town so that they will stay in there and really work. But then when it is illegal or when they see that we have this resource and we really don't have a stake in it and people are mining, then they will take the law into their hands. But that's not a justification for what they are doing. But mob action, I think, is not the solution.
Adam, so if it is not justified, then why will people take the laws into their own hands and do whatever they want to people when something happens?
Well, I feel that, you see, some of them are not just, they are not, how do I even put this?
Because we are situating this with what happened in the Western region,
yes,
Havasini, where the people had to beat the district police commander.
Yeah, you see, they are not coming into terms with the existing laws, because some of them think that when you send these armed robbers or pickpockets to the court, they'll end up being free. But you see, the danger is that when you say yanchino, and then you are approaching, you are chasing someone, you might end up mixing that person with another person. So that is the dangerous aspect of mob action. If it's not targeted, even the targeted one is not acceptable by any law in this country. So it is not something that we should encourage at all. Anybody that is found doing or perpetrating such an act should be dealt with by the law, because taking somebody's life, even the Bible says, is wrong, and the country says is wrong. So nobody should be allowed to do that at all in the first place.
But what does this say about the confidence people have in lay-down systems?
You see, the point is that it says a lot. And what it means is that we are not implementing or staying true to our laws and regulations. Because if we do that, people would have confidence in the system. So you travel outside Ghana and the rules work. So there are countries that you can't be chewing gum and throwing it away, because you know when you do that, you would have to pay a fine. You go into Rwanda, you can't carry anything plastic, rubber bag, you can't carry it into Rwanda. They would have to seize it from you. And it is because they are implementing the laws and they are implementing it so good. And, you know, situating it within the discussion of why people would take the law into their own. Policing is a shared responsibility. Whilst you are at it, you also attach a lot of emotional intelligence. And if you look at, if we want to just talk about the Half-Assini situation, those who are conversant with the story, obviously the story is so incensing. That is, if you listen to those who went out there, because it seemed to me that those who are at the helms of affair in terms of the policing did not apply enough of intelligence. And this way, I mean both security intelligence and emotional intelligence, because you can't deal with issues in that manner and expect people. It's a human, you know, you are protecting human beings. You must make them feel part of your whole protecting capacity so that they are able to help you in it. So when you don't implement the laws, they see that consistently you are violating the implementation of the law. So I bring somebody to the police station and the next moment I'm in the house, the person comes, he threatens me, I come back and he say, cool down. The next time I wouldn't bring him. But that wouldn't justify. Mob justice should not be justified anytime. Like he's saying, you know, if it's not happened to you, you never know. But can you imagine somebody just shouting, thief.
July.
Yes, and just because there used to be the story that places like Teshi and you can't go there and go and chase somebody, or when somebody hates you, all he needs to do is to shout in his window, July, and the people will just chase you and then beat you up. But that is how far people can go when it comes to their emotions. What we need to do is to ensure that we apply the rules, and also ensure that people who are at the helm of affairs will apply emotional intelligence in executing their duties to ensure that people get a buy-in into what they do in trying to police them. And that would help all of us live in such a manner that we'll be confident of each other and share information.
Right, 0501-552-729. 0501-552-729. Those are that is the number you can call us on so that you can join in the conversation. I've had a number of your text messages and your WhatsApp messages. You can also call us right away. But Joyce, how do we rearrange people so that we know how to deal with these issues?
We should start with education. And education, where do we start from? Ministry of Information used to have vans that go around, educating the public. I think if they are in the district, this is about time they really seriously embark on a serious campaign about this. Since this is not just a national issue, but it's taken an international dimension as well. So education is the way to go, so that it really registers in our brains and really work with it, because this is really a catastrophe on our hands.
Catastrophe indeed. On mob justice, is a crime, but you see the police and the court should do more to win the confidence and trust of the people. And this one is still coming from Andy, a beacon. Thank you, Andy. This one says, my name is Emmanuel. Please send me your number. Oh, really, Emmanuel? I'll try. I'll see about that. Okay. Okay, we have Alpha from Sakumono. Good to have you, Alpha, online.
It's rather unfortunate that, to some extent, people are not true the way it is. I remember a story at Nungwa where somebody was mistakenly attacked for having attempted raping. Incidentally, it ended up that they attacked a wrong person. If he had been killed, they have killed a wrong person, and for that matter, it might be stopped. But sometimes the security officers themselves cannot do anything about this. Right, and you let go the suspect and you kill. The security officers themselves, they let go, which is too bad. So, tackling the issue, the security officers themselves should do well to protect the person. If anything like that, they call for reinforcement. This is the way I look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alpha. Thank you so much. This one says Ghana is not serious in fighting Galamsey. They should do it like the Nigerians did to the oil bunkering. The machine should be destroyed anywhere it is found. Let them send soldiers to the areas, because those boys can be armed by the big men involved in the activity. Okay. Good morning, Rebecca. The authorities should do more to end this national canker. Our water bodies are being destroyed by these Galamsey miners, especially the Chinese people. We all know that water is of great importance to our lives. One can survive 3 days without food, but you and I cannot survive a day without water. I am appealing to the authorities, especially the politicians, to beef up the campaign against this senseless act. More are required of them to do so. Thank you from Baba Ado. Baba is in Adenta. Thank you, Baba. This one says Galamsey is like salt and sheep. Forces must be applied for the sheep to leave the salt, right? I do understand anyway, but it is from Asamoah. Thank you very much, Asamoah. Right, okay. This one says, thank you very much, sister. I hope you are coming along with us to the Ghana's launching come Saturday. Oh, I hear Ghana Secondary School in 75 years. We are coming to Koforidi this Saturday. I'll be there. I'll be there. Thank you. Ofori, Inodumase.
Yes.
Glad to have you. For which issue would you want to touch on? Is it the Galamsey or the mob action?
Yes, I Galamsey.
Okay, let's hear you.
The Ghanaians, they are not serious. Because this is you cannot go to the country and do what they are doing here. And at the same time, we have people who is under height. And then the chiefs also, they have to talk to them. And it's the chief who own the land. So the chief, if they didn't give them chance, they won't do that. So they have to go first to the chiefs before tackling the people. That is my view.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ofori.
You're welcome.
Right. So with this Half Asini issue, the people got angry because the suspect was not granted bail. Should we go as far as that?
No, they say two wrongs don't make a right. So the actions of the police, if you listen to the narrations, it wouldn't make the issue right. And in that same vein, the actions of the people, you don't take the law into your hands and go and behave that way. When you watch the video, it's disheartening that somebody's father or uncle should be treated that way.
I hear he's a new district commander who has been brought to the area.
So it might be the case that he didn't even know about the case, but there were police officers there who were dealing with the issue. You know, if I don't want to narrate what we got to learn from there because it's emotional in a bit, but the point is that people must learn to sometimes restrain themselves when taking such actions. It's not good. We shouldn't condone it, and you know, we just shouldn't condone it. And all the
we have Esther on the phone lines. Esther from Omalejo, around the Valley View area. Sorry for keeping you on the line.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
Hello, please, I want to contribute about the Galamsey.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah,
please. Authority must take it very serious to stop this Galamsey. Otherwise, sometimes you will find it very difficult to have water to drink. And it's a dangerous thing. We beg of this authority, the high people to take control about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's have our final word. I'll start with you, Adam, then I come in that order, then we go away.
Okay, thank you. You see, the whole thing is disheartening. Talk of the Galamsey and the mob justice. But what I'll say is that as Ghanaians, we need to fight this menace of Galamsey immediately. You see, the media sets the agenda. So the media should continue setting the agenda. I started this...
Adam, let me catch you rudely. Bright, Amasaman is on the line. Hello, Bright.
Yeah, hello.
The train was about moving.
Yeah. I would like to talk about the Galamsey.
Okay.
What I will suggest is that, you see, in this country, I would say that the literacy rate is very high. And because of that, you see, work these days will need us to bring...
Oh, so sorry. We lost Bright on the line. Please continue with your submission.
So, you see, I started this thing in 2013 with Gifty and Apia, where we did the Trading Ghana's Water for Good. And we expected the media then to respond because, you see, water and land and farm is more dangerous than a judge taking bribe. The reason why I put it is that few people go to court, but millions of people in Ghana drink water every day. Millions of people eat every day. So the media should have taken this up long ago. But I don't know what happened. That every time it's politics. If your show does not have NDC, MPP on the show, then it's nothing. It's no show. So we ignore such, this kind of activities that the media has to report. We ignore them. So I'm saying that if the media plays a role like they are playing now...
So let's keep the media's role. We'll come to it. Lovelace.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, Lovelace. I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. I just want to contribute towards this Galamsey issue. The thing is, I happened to go to a funeral in the Sinzima area, a town called, or a village called Bemianko. When we went there, these Chinese people were there doing this Galamsey business. And where they were accommodated was the chief house. So if this Galamsey issue you want to, deal with it, stopping level, then I think it's better you deal with this case because it is known to them well what they are doing. It is well known to them that they are people there doing those businesses. So I think you rather check on the thing.
Good. Good, Lovelace. Thank you. The media's role.
Yeah, you see,
when
we come to the point that, let's say, from 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 a.m. in the morning, you have every media house talking about Galamsey now. If we apply these same tactics to any other social issue, I think Ghana will win. But if we continue doing this kind of politics all the time, then I'm sure that in the next few years, everything in Ghana will be deteriorated.
I think for the first time, all media houses have put
aside
their competition.
Yeah.
And we are all focusing on one thing. And this is very historic.
When you set the agenda, it hits people like the magic bullet.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Not just setting the agenda, but sustaining the agenda and highlighting the momentum with which we started should be continued. It should be continued in the sense that we should get people, really committed people who really move it and continue moving it. Not just because it's just up now or we are just inaugurating this committee, we are just, coalition. We just all went on board and within the shortest time, we just let it run. No, we should continue the momentum and sustain it. And also, by doing it, we have to really get in touch with the communities who are really affected by it, understand and know them, so that when we reporters really get to them, they will have the trust in us that we are really fighting their cause. On the other hand, too, the whole thing is about networking. So if you have information, we shouldn't be thing to me. We should share information, and that I think is one of the agenda with which this whole media coalition was launched. And also, we deal with experts like. There are some NGOs who are really doing very good work on the ground. We should liaise with them for them to give us all the needed information. We are not politicians. We can't a lot takes, but if we light and play our watchdog well, we would be able to win this way. And also with politics, yes. Throughout the week, we've heard that there are big men politicians behind this whole issue. But then politicians come and go. So as journalists, we shouldn't be aligned. We should just play our watchdog role very well and keep the momentum going.
The fight will be sustained. Once from where I'm coming from, we are just incensed with the activity and its effects, and we are going to sustain the fight until something happens, because this generation, including this government, will not be forgiven by posterity if action is not taken to stop this thing now, because its effects are so devastating that you have no idea about it.
Good. This one says, my name is Albert. I listen to you a lot. Thank you for the good work that you are doing for Mother Ghana. I'm really sad that someone can destroy our lands and boast on social media while the security authorities look unhelpless. This thing must not go on in Ghana. All politicians are the same. Sometimes I agree with people like Donald Trump, who says things about black people the way it is. Not only should the government chase the Chinese and the Ghanaian compatriots out of the country, but they should also be made to pay for the damages they have caused to our rivers and forests. Every petty thief or even armed robbers should be set free, should not be set free to make way for the Chinese to be sent to the prisons. Okay, Albert, my time is up. It is a Reporters Roundtable, very I'm very grateful for your time with us. I'm very sorry. I have a number of the messages in here. I couldn't read them all. Please forgive me. And those of you who wanted to call into the program, please forgive me as well. We'll give you the chance next week. We'll talk more on these issues. My name is Rebecca Ewa, and the production was by Phyllis Kofi, Max Sesu, and Celestine Avi. Follow us on Twitter at RoundtableGH, or you can follow me as well at Rebecca Ewa. I'll see you again. God bless you.